Well, Gray, we're so excited to welcome you and ask you all of the questions really about ClickUp and implementation specifically for agencies. And obviously, we work with agencies exclusively. You work with mostly agencies, is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Awesome. So you see behind the curtain of what works, what doesn't work. And I'm sure you see a lot of messy systems. And for us, when agency owners come to us looking to bring in an account manager, one of their biggest pains or embarrassments, sometimes I even want to say, is they're like, I know where you guys are going to come in and help us optimize systems, but it's a mess right now. And I don't even want to show you what things look like. So I'm sure you see a lot of that as well, and that's a huge pain point. But maybe just give us a quick rundown of who ZenPilot is and what you do for agencies.
Yeah. I think that's great. So, super quick intro. My name is Gray. Obviously, I am the founder here at ZenPilot. Um, we are an agency operations consulting firm, but we're super tightly niched. So, we work right now about 80%, 85% of our customer base is agencies. The other 15% are often in-house, like LegalZoom's a good example, like in-house marketing team of 40 people. They really run like an agency to support the different arms of um, LegalZoom, but that's an in-house marketing team, and sometimes it's other professional service teams too. So there's some accounting firms and stuff like that, but mostly agencies. That's my background. Started my first agency in 2011, and then since 2013 have been in the project management space, working with agencies. So we just crossed 3,400 agencies who we've worked with over that time, and we are deep into the if you're an agency running on ClickUp, like all of your problems, I want to hear all of them. We're considering or looking at other project management tools. Like there's some cool stuff coming on the scenes. Productive.io, if nobody's looked at that, like I feel like I'm constantly checking out different tools. We did a comparison. There's a comparison post on our site somewhere of the 71, like we went through 71 different PM tools as we were choosing. I knew we wanted to specialize in one. Obviously, I want to choose like what's the best tool for most agencies most of the time, to have as large of a reach as possible, but also be able to get super tactical in. I know the strategy. I know like what does great operations look like at an agency, but like very tactically, what does that look like in practice in the day to day? And so wanted to have one tool and wound up taking 71 and narrowing that down to ClickUp. And so we've been working with ClickUp since middle of 2018. I guess we're 7 years in now, or just about 7 years in. And it's been really good. We're the largest and their highest rated solutions partner. I feel like in most partner programs, those two things usually, often they maybe start out together and then they deviate very quickly. But I take a lot more pride in the second part of that being highest rated. Like, what's the actual impact to teams than the rest of it? So, anyways, that's a little bit about us. If you're looking at PM tools and you're trying to figure out like what does this look like? What should our methodology like? How should we work? All of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of great content on our blog, but also on YouTube. We've put a lot of effort into taking, like, we're really saying, hey, if we're going to work with teams one on one, I want to make sure we can touch enough stuff that they can definitely be successful, which means you're going to have to make an investment to work with us. If we're not going to work together, then I want to have the best free stuff out there, the stuff that is better than what's in other people's courses or training materials. So I'm really proud of what the team has done on YouTube as well.
I love it. Cool. So why ClickUp? When agencies are listening, what makes ClickUp better than Asana or Monday or
Yep, we took so right now in the market, Monday and ClickUp are the two most comparable tools.
okay.
Um, and there's one main distinction between them, and like ClickUp automatically rolls everything up the hierarchy. Monday doesn't automatically roll everything up the hierarchy. So if you're thinking about, for each client, we've got a number of services, then we've got a number of clients that make up our delivery department. Then our delivery department is one of a couple departments in the organization. Like depending on your role internally, you want to see the roll up of like all client stuff or all stuff across the whole team. And so ClickUp rolls that up naturally. But those two are kind of give us the right depth of hierarchy in the tools. Asana is a little bit flatter, like Basecamp, Trello. Folks who are on those tools tend to like, hey, we hit a certain size, and Trello is a great example of like the board's super easy to use, and we flip back and forth, and there's power ups and things we could use, but it's super hard to get like an overview of all clients or any type of reporting off of it. So I love ClickUp for the hierarchy is really well suited um, for the agency model specifically. The reporting is really flexible. Like it's super powerful in terms of what we can report on and pull through. Things roll up naturally. And then I think the one of the things that I was really optimistic on when we picked ClickUp initially, and I cannot believe that the pace feels similar today, is just the development velocity, like how fast they are making the platform better, their new calendar and chat feature is exciting, but like the core project management stuff just keeps getting better and better. So um, that's why I'm such a big fan of ClickUp. There's a lot of things I wish that they did. Like we'll even look at some stuff here today as we're digging into these dashboards. I'm like, oh, ClickUp, please, could you like you can make this better
Hmm.
if you had like I don't think anybody has built out as good of a retainer functionality in a project management tool as Excello has. In Excello, if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, "Hey, we've been on Excello," it's almost always we've been on Excello for a year, maybe two, and we can't wait to get off of it. Uh,
Okay.
and so the other piece that I love about ClickUp is they've optimized for the end user, which means there's some manual stuff. Like there's more admin work to get reporting out of it than some like all these tools are kind of a trade-off between are we optimizing for the CFO or the person who just wants reporting, in which case we're
Hmm.
going to inflict all kinds of custom fields and like data management, and there's not a great UI on the front end, or we're optimizing for the end user, like how can they have a great day-to-day experience using this? And right now you're making the trade-offs in any of these platforms between those. I think ClickUp does the best job of that today, but um, the reporting stuff and a lot of the like the enterprisey tools, the end user is just like a terrible experience. And my philosophy has always been if we don't get good data out of the like into the tool to begin with, then there's no good data to report out on the back end. So
Yeah, that's really interesting. When you're talking about how quickly they're developing and the speed, everyone wants to know what are they thinking for AI or what's coming down the pipes or what have has been implemented.
yeah.
What are you seeing?
Actually, if anyone's curious, I'll if you I was gonna say put a chat, but if you email me, I'll send you a Loom video about I've been going back and forth with Zeb, who's the founder at ClickUp, a good amount. He's super deep in the product. Um, and so we've been chatting about a number of things. On the AI side, what's already in there is actually I could pull it up and
Yeah, let's see
we've
it.
got it in the demo uh version, like how much of it, but it's really pretty good. So from an AI perspective right now, like you can connect a bunch of your different apps into the system here. I don't think that I've got a paid version of AI in this, but if I was just going to show off what that looked like if we pulled up search, I could connect like Drive or Slack or whatever else. And so if you're searching with AI, you can search not just what's in ClickUp, but other data as well. Obviously, you
Ah.
can get like, team updates, kind of the like I feel like this is the pretty basic stuff of, hey, tell me what's been going on in the workspace, or let me see my stand, like what would if we were doing daily stand-ups and we had to answer these questions, um, what would you say? But I find I use AI a lot if I am, let's see if we have any chat views spun up here. So if we took, a chat message or something like that in the system and then wanted to use an AI tool to automatically like create a task or assign a task directly from a message or something like that, that's actually been very useful internally to the team. So there's some of that kind of stuff. If I've got any overviews already built in here,
What
big
about for account managers? Anything come to mind using ClickUp and AI? Because I love that example you used. If I had a daily stand up, tell me everything that's going on. But as an account manager, could I say, hey, I have a daily huddle with my team. Tell me everything that's going on across all of my clients and what the status is? Or is that
Yep.
something we could do?
That's a great, yeah. So if we were to just like um, use AI and search for something, what we'd do is we'd take some. So we're gonna get a little bit nerdy here, kind of
I
fast,
love it.
but let's just go ahead and do
Great.
it. So we've got in our delivery space, we've got a bunch of clients here, and each of those clients have some set of tasks. So like an SEO retainer, there's some set of tasks that we're doing. There's almost always we would have a custom field set that would have like a client name and then a client lead. Um, this is all automatic. Nobody ever needs to touch it, but it would exist, and it would exist for reporting and like in this case AI type of purposes. So this client lead, we could easily call it account manager in your case too.
Right.
So when I'm asking AI for a summary, I'd say like that's one global that this is a global custom field to identify all the work across all my clients. It's automatically set for anything that happens in any of these client folders. So I'd ask it for like go find all the tasks where the client lead field is set to, my name or whatever, and then give me a summary of what's happened in the past 24 hours or past week across that client.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That's crazy.
so
Think about how much time that would save an account manager.
yeah, there's some other ways to like we'll look at one of the ways here today in one of the dashboards on like, hey, what else are we doing to manage across accounts? But that has been really helpful, kind of the pairing of structured data in ClickUp tasks with the ability to just kind of talk to it through the AI.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. So when agencies come to you, what is the biggest pain point that they're facing when it comes to their project management?
Uh, the word that pops, if you just looked at all the transcripts of everything, and you said like, hey, what's the commonality? The word
Yeah.
visibility comes up all the time.
Okay.
So that can more often than not, that's from somebody at the leader on the leadership team. Like, an agency owner says, hey, I don't know what we're profitable on or not profitable, or I don't know where this account stands or where that project is, or I tried logging into this client's, website build and I have like nothing's up to date, nothing's there. Sometimes it is from end users saying like, hey, it's just not, I have no idea. Like I'm being thrown all these things, but nobody tells me when I need to get it done or like what the priority order is. How do I actually know what needs to get done when? So it takes on a lot of shapes, but visibility is like that's almost always. And sometimes it's just, hey, workload. Like I don't know, can I assign this stuff to my team? I don't know what to tell our clients for when we can get it done. I don't know who's going to have this back to me when. But that's the number one like buzzword that you'd see if you looked at kind of a
Makes
word cloud.
sense. I would say from our side as well, visibility would be huge
Yeah.
because they want to see where are all my clients at? What's the health of all of my clients and our accounts and our team and who's productive, who's not. And of course, I don't want to spend hours every week going through my project management tool. I want to see
Yeah.
it visually. And so that's why agencies love when we talk all about dashboards. So that's why I wanted to really like dig into that with you. And I'll let you kind of walk us through some dashboards that would be relevant for account managers, but also relevant for the agency owner who might be wanting that visibility into like the health of their accounts.
I think it's perfect. I've got three specific dashboards I wanted to run by y'all. If anyone has, I see there's some more folks who are in here who I haven't yet given the ability to talk, but if anyone's got um, specific questions, drop it in the chat. I'll have it up on the side of my screen. So every time you see me staring over to the other screen, that's what I'm looking at. It's just like, hey, I want to make this as relevant as possible. I want to take you through two dashboards at an owner level. This wouldn't just be an owner, but as an owner slash an AM, like these are actual dashboards that I'm looking at from an ownership perspective. And then the third place I'd like to go would be like specific to the account management role. And the reality is like we probably have some people on here who are early stage enough where they're sitting in both those seats. I am an owner, but I'm also an account manager for part of my time. Let's start. Let's see, where do we want to go first? I'm going to start with like client health. So we're going to pull this up and just try to get an overview. So I use this dashboard in two different ways, or there's a couple different ways, but consistently, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at like, hey, where are their health risk clients? So I've got a database here of all the clients who we're working with. I've got some core information about them. Where are they in the process working with us? I've got a health score. I like to keep their goal right in front of me, and then some other information about like who's the lead on that account and any other information that you wanted, you could have categorized here. So that's the core content that's in here. Then I'm surfacing different custom fields and different filters based on the different views that I'm using. So an example would be, if I go look at health risk clients, we took that same list, but now it's filtered to just clients who are either at risk or off track. And then we've grouped it here by the account manager or the client lead. so that we can see, hey, are there consistent problems? Jeff's constantly got problems with his clients, or not. So this is helpful if you're coaching a team of account managers as well. But even if you just wanted to see your own stuff. So I'm looking at this when I'm looking for, hey, are there any health risk clients or any major updates to accounts that I need to be aware of? Taylor, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. We at ZenPilot, and we teach this to most of the teams we work with, but some of the details get changed a little bit. I'm a huge fan of having a manual update from our um, from the account manager or the client lead for each of the projects. Put in either a weekly or a bi-weekly update. I do it less for the lower someone, the less you're getting paid in a retainer model, like the less frequently you ought to be doing this because you just don't have that much time to play with. Um, so generally, if it's a client under 3K a month, like it's probably not weekly. If it's over that, it's probably weekly.
Yeah. I would say more than weekly would be ideal.
Yeah.
And the way that I always look at it is as an account manager, every single day you should know where every client is at. So if we can provide just a quick update every day internally,
Yep.
that's ideal. Just showing that you have a pulse on everything. Now, I like this like weekly update where it's more robust and we have more details, but I think every day it's really helpful for an account manager to pop in there and just have a quick one-liner
Hmm.
so that it shows, every day I'm on it and you have it under control.
Do you think if it wasn't I'm going to get into these, like, we've got four very specific questions here, and I want to spend just a minute on that because that'll be helpful. But do you think if it wasn't, um, like, if they were your internal account managers, I realize you've got both, like, you've got hey, we're providing this to a client. So I could see in your situation, I hire an account manager through you
Yeah.
where my confidence level maybe isn't as high at the very beginning. So seeing that daily pulse check would be helpful to me. Internally, I don't want to have to read something about every client. Like I would die if I had to read something about every single client
Yes.
every day.
Yeah. I would say more so for an account manager working in an agency with, let's say, 25 clients.
Yeah.
My responsibility as an account manager is to know where those clients are at all the time.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
a quick, gut check every day. Now, maybe you would set it up where it's not going to ping you, the agency owner, every
Right.
time that update happens,
Right.
but you can go in and see it, right?
Yep.
Because what you want as the agency owner is what if a client randomly emails you tonight and they're like, I'm canceling. This
Yep.
sucks, right?
Yeah.
You as the agency owner, you want to pop in and be like, what's going on here? And be able to trace back the last couple of weeks and start reading threads and da 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 da. So the more visibility you can have in that case, the better. But I understand you don't want to be seeing those notifications every day. You just want to see high level health.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That's it. I have not thought about doing that on a daily basis, thinking mostly like, hey, the activity log, if we're doing the work, like we should be able to see what's in there. But I could see a use case for doing that more frequently.
Yeah. Or what if the account manager's sick, right? What if they happen to get really sick today and they're going to be out for a week? It'd be
Yep.
great to see kind of the daily trend and see where
Yeah.
they can pick up. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me try to convince you that that's not necessary. So
Okay, great.
it might still be. We're asking these four specific questions. Why would the customer be unhappy? This used to be just, is the customer happy? And the reality is like, ask better questions to get better answers. So trying to put account managers in the mindset, you probably do a lot of training on this type of stuff, but like in the mindset of the customer, what could they possibly be? It's very easy if you're managing 15 different clients to be like, yeah, they're probably happy. I don't know. Do I know for sure? No, but like I'm just gonna put in yes to answer this versus just taking a second to sit back and go like, hey, what would actually make them unhappy? Is there anything that would be a trigger to them? Second question, a client could be totally happy or unhappy. Like either way, those two things aren't always synonymous that a client's happy and you're also happy.
Right.
So what do you as the account manager, like how are you feeling about the project? Sometimes the client's totally happy, even though they're way behind what their goal was at the beginning. But the person who's leading the account on the client side, your main point of contact, they don't like they're not really owning that goal. In some cases, they may be totally happy, and you may realize, hey, this is just a like this is a slowly boiling problem that's gonna, come up eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, any changes in strategy or timeline? So this is what I would rely on for like, hey, this account manager is out. Uh,
Yeah.
when that happens, I like for this to be put in by the account manager as it happens, not wait till the end of the week or wait till your review to do it. So this is where I think that goes, which might be a daily thing. But this is the what I want to see is like, hey, where have we shifted course? Is there anything I would need to know that looks different? And then, just the classic, what do you need help with on this account is the last one to say, hey, tag specifically what you need from whom. Is there anything that would be boiling up here? We have a couple other things that we're asking, and this is will look different depending on what your situation is, but this has been the combination of the weekly update with the structured data here has been super helpful at ZenPilot internally for managing all that, we're managing 80, 100 accounts at a time. And so just like, hey, how do we actually scale customer success as we grow? But it's been helpful for a ton of our clients too.
That's awesome. So when you're when I personally don't use ClickUp, so this is
Yep.
interesting for me to see kind of the back end. Um, when you set it all up, so you can create these different, we'll call it dashboards or snapshots based on all the data that you have somewhere else.
Yeah, we're not.
Correct?
This is actually just all is this is just like we're repurposing tasks here. So this is kind of like a task list, and we're just repurposing to represent that. I'll show you some actual dashboard examples. Like often we still talk about this as like an account dashboard, but it's really just a list of information.
Yeah. Okay. And how can you show us how somebody might set this up on their own?
Yeah, I mean you could do this like just imagine this is a Google sheet or
Yeah,
Excel.
that's what I'm picturing it. Yeah.
So you're not going to have things like it's going to trying to tag all those comments and have them flow neatly will be a little bit messy there. Although you certainly could do it as well. And having recurring due dates won't work as well. And
Hmm.
jumping back and forth between views will take a little bit of work. But the very first time that we ever did anything like this was in a spreadsheet. So you could build the exact same thing. Here's what I love. I love making every single account manager. And I say making because like in any culture that you're building, you get what you tolerate and you get what you celebrate. And I really want our team to know, hey, I won't tolerate if all we're doing is making our customer content. Like my job today is to show up here for 25 minutes and make Taylor happy and then get out of there. Like that is not the job. The job is here's what the client came to us for. They need 1,200 SQLs every single month. And so hopefully I can make Taylor happy as we do that. But like this is the thing I've got to come back to. What is like true north in terms of client success? Um, but this, I mean, this is just like a text field in a spreadsheet somewhere. So I love having this combination of information saying like there's two components of client health. There's the results side, what's happening, and there's the relationship side. And if you nail one without the other, like it's going to be short-lived success. You need to have a meaningful path to hitting what the client end goal is and keeping that relationship healthy and strong enough as you're getting there to actually give you the time um, to get there and help them be successful long term.
I
But you could,
totally
yeah,
agree with that.
you could easily take this and this is an example of like linking this back to a specific contract or linking this somewhere else. So you can, in terms of like pulling data in from other areas, you could do it. Um, I know that I want to be sensitive to how much time that we have, but I love having whether you do this in a spreadsheet or you do this here in ClickUp. You can see there's some fields here that we didn't have shown before. And this inactive reason is really helpful
Mhm.
to me to have a why do clients churn when they churn? We all like to say like, oh, it's the client's fault or whatever else, but what are the real reasons? And I go through this every quarter internally and say, hey, why did somebody stop working with us? And I'm looking for a whole lot of, hey, we completed the scope that was needed and they're good to go drive the car that we built for them now.
Mhm.
But that's not always the answer. Sometimes it's, hey, what we built didn't meet what they expected, and it's either an expectation or a delivery side. Like one side of that at least didn't hold up, or there might be some other reason. So You don't have to use these exact reasons, but I do think capturing this in hey, we've got a couple buckets, not just giving like open-ended text, really helps make this meaningful feedback to go back and see why do clients stop working with us.
I love that. We also have that same thing,
Yeah.
but we have just like open-ended text. So I like that you have them actually bucketed.
One of the things that's because I've run into this where people have had that and they're like, oh, I'd love to do it. So this is a great AI use case. And if we were to add another field here and do like a custom autofill with AI or kind of like one of these other ones, it's not always perfect, but we could take all that open-ended stuff and we could say, hey, these are the buckets you have to choose from. Read the reason that someone wrote and then apply a bucket
Ah,
and label it that way. Um, so you got some options. That's not like unless you got a huge volume, it's probably worth just manually going through and saying, is that really like? And sometimes
yes.
you know as an owner, as a leader, like they said that this was the client's fault for not doing it, but like we did not live up to what we should have lived up to here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. Yep. Okay, cool. Love this dashboard.
cool. Okay, if anyone's got questions about how to build it out or wants to see other examples, let me know. The next one I'd like to go to is this is the fun one. Kind of like the financial data integrated into this. I won't get into all the weeds unless it's helpful. Happy to do this. If anyone's already running on ClickUp and you're like, I'd love to do this. Obviously, we are embedding a Power BI dashboard in here to do it. And so we're putting all your data into ClickUp, like what is a contract worth? What are the rates of our team members? That kind of stuff. This is an area where I would love for ClickUp to do this natively, but they don't do it natively right now. Like user rates, that's probably coming, it's on their roadmap for the last half of this year. So since it's not there, we're taking it all, doing the math in the back end, and then surfacing it back through Power BI. But what I'm looking at when I go to this dashboard on a weekly basis is I'm looking at where are we in terms of our capacity versus our estimated hours. I'm looking at our utilization rates. So what percentage of the time that we have available is going towards billable work. And then I don't look at this every single week, but on a monthly and then a quarterly basis, I'm digging into our profitability by client. Now, this time range, I think, has a whole year worth of data. So normally this would be a quarter worth of data. But I'll look and say, based on, either raw profit or profitability perspective, like who are our most and our least profitable clients? And then in others, I don't know what others is here in this case, but like how do I get a lot more apples? And do I need to adjust something with Microsoft to get more or less? And then I'll drill down into the data or click on the data to see like, hey, what's specifically causing that? But that gives me like I really want to know what is profitability across clients. What does it look like by teams? We could dig into some of these other ones to go and look at it. But this is helpful in making decisions about how we price and package stuff and how we make tweaks with individual clients and like how do we keep finding the best types of clients. Um, and then, it's even cooler when we're kind of pairing this with that client health dashboard to go say like most of the time we'll find out our biggest there's very often a correlation between the health risk clients, the least healthy clients, and the least profitable clients.
Mm,
And at some point in time, there comes a time where it's like, hey, we should just not be working together anymore, or like
right.
we need to just have a heart to heart and figure out how do we solve this.
Mm. How difficult is this to set up?
If you were to build this from
Yeah.
scratch, this is like horrendous. Uh,
Right.
yeah, this is not. This is there's just a lot of math to run through to like build this out. The much easier way, if you're trying to do a lightweight version, so there's uh, two easy paths here. One is buy this from us. It's a monthly subscription to have this set up for you in ClickUp. Um, but if you were not doing it, I haven't seen anybody else build this out. Like there's not another product on the market to do all of this stuff where it's pulling in actual contract data and it's got the feature set that this has. So the way that anyone who's not doing that but is seeing this kind of data is getting it is they're pulling an export from ClickUp. I don't know if I have a good, let's see if we have a like a time tracking dashboard in here. Let's see. I don't know if I have any time data in this one at all. But you take some type of time reporting dashboard, and then you'd export that, put it into Excel or sheets that have your user rates and have that data. And so it wouldn't be real time, but you could go back and get that over the last quarter's worth of data, which would be totally fine as well.
So do you recommend your teams track their time directly in ClickUp?
Yeah, unless there's a really compelling reason not to. But if you're going to do time tracking, um, if you're using a PM tool, what do you use for PM right now?
We use Asana at Dot, but all of our account managers use every other kind of project
Yeah,
management
right.
software under the
To
sun.
be, yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to
And
hear from anybody listening what project management softwares you're
yeah,
using, because listen, we hear them all, as you can imagine.
yep.
ClickUp is one of the top ones, and Monday.
Yep.
Um,
So I think that like if you're not doing it here, are you all tracking time as well?
yes,
And what are you using
within
for that Harvest or Every Hour? Or?
Toggle.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Um, so it totally fine. You're just going like, and you may have a two-way sync. I can't remember if Toggle and Asana have a two-way sync between them to feed all that time back into Asana. But if I'm going in and I'm saying like, hey, I want to know how much time on average does it take when we write a blog post for a client or something, I can get that data out of ClickUp. And but what I want to do with that then is I want to go back and update our template for, what does that blog post template look like?
Mm,
Um, and so if I don't have, it's just like I'm zooming back and forth between two different systems to get it. So if possible, I'd rather keep it all in the same place.
do you know if you can use AI for that?
You can't. Nope. Not
No.
well. I mean, that's not true. I guess I shouldn't say that. You could. You'd have to build it yourself. Like you could suck up all the time entry data for a specific deliverable, and then go
Uh,
back and update, like hunt for the same deliverable. You could certainly do it. It's just not native yet.
gotcha.
Yep.
Cool. Um, what any other dashboards that account managers use?
Yeah, I've one that I wanted to go to here. And if anyone's got specific, thanks, Chrissy, for sharing too what PM platforms you're on. Okay, so this is a common, like here we are in ClickUp. We've got our spaces. So in any agency, you've got growth, delivery, and operations are probably your three core areas of the business, like our sales and marketing, how we keep the promises that our sales and marketing made, and then kind of the junk drawer of business is like ops. It's the people, culture, finance, legal, like all that kind of stuff. Inside of delivery, then we have all these client folders, and inside these client folders, we've got like the specific contracts as a list, and we've got docs for them. So I'm up here. I said everything rolls up in ClickUp. So now I'm at the delivery level, and I've got a dashboard built for me. And I'm really looking at a couple key areas, like this week. So this is kind of what's coming up. What are the open issues that are happening, and then what happened in terms of last week. So I use this dashboard. Well, I don't use this dashboard very much. Occasionally, I am managing a client account or I'm doing some kind of consulting engagement with somebody, but the team uses this one pretty heavily um, just to
That's
spot, hey,
awesome.
where are there any issues? Like, is there anything we're blocked on? Anything that's overdue? Obviously, if we get a ton of stuff stuck in client review, that's an issue. And so we need to just run through what that is. And so these are all taking the task data from below it, and they're all just different ways of visualizing what that data looks like. Here you can see it's just a table filtered down, grouped by client and looking at um, specifically like, hey, what's still open? What needs to get done? Are there issues like health risk clients? So we can go deeper into this one if that's helpful for anybody. But this is where we're surfacing all that stuff across your portfolio of clients.
That's super helpful. So as an agency owner, I would be able to see each of my account managers and see their dashboard.
You'd probably have a dashboard like this that was everyone would have their own dashboard and you would have like a global roll up of it. So if you wanted to
Right.
filter it down, you could, what that looks like in the actual like ZenPilot internal one is I've got my global one favorited up here. And then, oh, here's Alex's, here's Emily's, here's like
Okay.
for the account managers, I can click into their individual ones too, or I can just add a filter like across the entire dashboard that says, client lead is this person or not. And so even though I've got dashboards created, I often just do the filter thing just because I'm used to it. But you can tackle it either way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So those are three of the big dashboards. Are there any? I know we're at 40 minutes in so far. Taylor, anything you want to push on, or I can go into a couple other areas if it's helpful, like specifically related to account management and clients.
Would love that.
Um, or if there's any
Yeah.
questions, we can go there. You want to
Yeah,
take one other place?
yeah, anybody that has questions, drop them in, but I'd love to see any other account management specific things that you think would be helpful. Um, and then I'm just curious about agencies that come to you that are maybe on the smaller side.
Yeah.
What is it that you recommend they start with and then layering all these things in? Because all these dashboards are awesome, but like, what do
Yeah.
they need to make sure they start with so that all the data is in ClickUp? So then phase two, you and your team have something to work with, or they
Yeah.
have data to work with set up properly. It's clean, you know?
Yeah. I think anything with anything in life is all about balancing trade-offs. So I think it's easy to look at this and say, like, everything that I'm showing here, that's not true. Not the first thing, like the account dashboard that we looked at. You could build that and run that with nothing else. That's like
Right.
level one. You'd have no visibility into this. You could build it without any of the tasks related, like any of the what's the actual work. So when we're working with clients, we talk about these five different layers of visibility and the trade-offs at each one. So that would be like a level one. You can at least see, this is a different version of it, but you can at least see like what accounts have what going on, who's responsible for them, what's their health, that kind of stuff. You have no idea about the tasks associated. You have no idea about your team's workload and who's got capacity or doesn't have capacity. You have no idea about the client profitability. But this takes extremely little work to maintain. It's like once a week, log in and put this in here. So that'd be probably a good example, like level one, or maybe even like at the very lowest level. So the trade-off that you're accepting is like, I have some visibility. I don't have no visibility now, but I don't have very much visibility on the negative side. But on the plus side, I've got almost no work to maintain it. Level five is the other end of the spectrum. Like I can pull up workload and I can tell you exactly what everyone's working on. I can see all the changes that have happened. I can get all these summaries. I've got all these dashboards. I've got everything else. The flip side is that only works and is only accurate if we're living by the rule. Like if it's not in ClickUp, it didn't happen. Everybody
Mm.
really is getting everything into and you could substitute ClickUp with whatever you're on. Like Chrissy, in your case, is it all in Teamwork? Like if not, all those great reports that Teamwork has out of the box uh, are meaning like if you're running by those, then you're flying blind because like you know that you're using inaccurate data if you're making decisions off of it. So you're in some cases better off not using it to make decisions until you're sure everyone's got stuff in. Um, so I think there's a long way of getting to like figure out what trade-offs you're willing to accept and say it's fine at the early stage. Like you do not want to be a 30-person firm and be at level one visibility because you're constantly going to be going, Taylor, hey, can you get this done today or not? Like Sheena, can you get to that? And you're constantly just bugging people to try to get answers and figure out where stuff lives. But on the flip side, at two people or three people, it's so easy to just be like, hey, can you fit this onto your plate today too? Or like, there's not that many conversations that need to happen. So I would say get your client relationships track somewhere, start building that, start making a habit of getting all the data into the tool, whatever tool you wind up using. Um, I think it's easy to look at this and say, great, that's so many different custom fields. Like I don't want to use ClickUp, but you could make ClickUp look like I could take all this stuff out and I could make ClickUp look extremely simple too. So
Mm.
as you're looking at demos of all these tools, sometimes what looks really complex and crazy, that's because somebody knows how to drive that car and they've built it that way. Um, and you can make it way simpler than that. So, but that's where I would start is figure out the core things like how are we measuring our capacity? Do we need to have that reflected in the system or not? If we do, and we need, like we talk about resource management, like we're doing resourcing in terms of bottoms up, is it all these different tasks that build up to our time estimates, or top down? We're just saying, hey, roughly it's going to take us 10 hours a week for Vance refrigeration and 20 hours a week for Dunder Mifflin. And roughly 75% of the time is going to Taylor and 25% is going to Gray. That's totally fine. That's not very exact. That's not, you know, that doesn't scale super, super well way down the road, but that's totally close enough for early on. So like just simplify it. So that's my, like the big suggestion is start with something like this, start getting tasks into the system, making sure that no balls get dropped, build those habits first. We can build a lot more from there, but this is something we've started doing as of December, is doing some much lower tier retainers with earlier stage teams that are like, hey, let's just get the basics. We're not going to a level 5. Like we're going level 1, 2, 3, and let's go build that out and just get some traction and get up and running quickly.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because I think, most of the agencies we work with have anywhere from 10 to 50 clients,
Yep.
and maybe they're closer to a 2 or 3, but they might be looking at some of these saying, I don't know if we need all of that, all the bells and whistles, but there's
Yeah.
still so much that they need in the
Yep.
middle before they get to that
Yeah.
stage. So that's helpful.
I don't know if this is probably not comforting, but I've gone back and forth with the team a lot. I'm like, hey, should we slim down anything that we're putting out publicly? Like, should YouTube become here's a level 2 training? And the point that we've come to is like, no, you're way better off knowing this is what level 5 would be. How else are you knowing, like, are we building towards that or are we building in a totally opposite direction? It's way better to have your eyes open to like, this is what could be, and then understand here's the things that we're giving up if we
Yeah.
choose to not track our time, or if we choose to not enter all our work in, or if we choose instead of using like individual tasks for individual assignees, what if we just assigned it to a team? That's fine, but here's the trade-off of that. Um, and so that uh, I think there's pros and cons to that, but I do the more and more conversations I've had, and the more we've tested some of this out with teams, it is really helpful still to get like a, hey, this is what level 5 would look like if everything was really built out and humming. And now how do we just pick the most important pieces of that for you?
Hmm. That's super helpful. So when agencies come to you and they're ready to scale,
Yeah.
what where are they usually at in terms of their project management program
Yeah.
setup, and where do you recommend they go?
Oh, you're in terms of levels, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they're usually somewhere between a 1 and a 3. And then for most teams, they ought to go to like if we're talking about scaling, like someone's coming to us and they have an offer that's working well,
Yeah.
and there's a way to, it's not just working well in terms of clients are buying it, but then the results on the back end are good, and they've got a team, like they have a model that's profitable for delivering that. Most teams ought to get to a level 3 or a 4, but do it well. So like,
Mm,
there's a huge difference between you all could build this today and you could have this done and like, we could have just spent this time purely building this. This would be really useful, but it's only useful if it's actually used. So like we could just take this. I could use the Text Sniper app to copy it all. Like we could paste it into um, Google Sheets, and everybody could have a template that they're running out of. And you'd all have a level 1. Like that's great. We made progress and we got there. Zero impact until all of your account managers use it and you have a habit of how do we go through it and use it. So um, people coming in who maybe already have like most of the building blocks right for level 3 or level 4. Uh, what's way more common if they're coming to us, it's not working great. Usually that's like habits are just as big of a piece, if not the biggest piece of all of it. Like, hey, I know what I want. My team just doesn't get it and like don't do it yet. And that's the like building a culture of accountability does not come
yeah.
easily. Uh,
Yeah. And are they all just putting it in Slack?
there is a lot of that. Yeah. Or like there's some teams who've been pretty good coming in about getting work into the system, but terrible about how work gets prioritized or
Uh,
like what gets done in what order. So anyways, there's a lot, we could unpack a lot of that stuff, but
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions from anybody out there? Are you using ClickUp and you have a specific question, or are you thinking about moving to ClickUp? We have Gray here, so if you have questions,
Feel free to
now's
jump
the
on.
time. Yep. I personally, this is the reason why I've never moved to ClickUp, and
Yeah.
other agencies might relate, is that when I started my business in 2018, 2019, all of my data is in Asana.
Yep. Right.
I can search everything. So are there agencies that come to you that are like in Monday or in Asana and they don't want to move because they're like, but everything's in there?
Uh, not that often. That like the question comes up on every project. What do we do with our historical data?
Yeah.
Do we import it all? Like, um, do we keep a seat in an old tool? Do we archive it all somewhere? But I don't, that's usually not one of the biggest hangups is switching. We're hearing that a lot now as ClickUp's rolled out this chat tool and they've built a Slack importer and they're trying to um, get teams to move from Slack to ClickUp chat. And I think that'll be a bigger hangup. Um,
Mm.
but there is some of that. And yeah, you do have to think through, well, how am I going to pull stuff through? And depending on the tool, from every tool, it's not a problem to export all your tasks. Like I haven't bumped into any tools where that's a problem. But if you're trying to pull through, like I need all our comment history or our whatever else,
Mm.
depending on the tool, that can be much more challenging.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I don't see any questions. Oh, looking to build a lead quality feedback process in ClickUp. Any insights?
Yeah, Natalie, if you want to unmute, um, you can tell us what that like lead quality. Are you trying to manage like a sales pipeline in here? And like, is this to give feedback to your sales team or something else?
Um, yeah, good question. It's sort of both. Um, yeah, we want to make sure that we're providing, good quality leads. So it's kind of, yeah, twofold. We want to, get information, figure out a way to get, the information from our clients, whether that's in a form or something.
Yep.
Um, like create that lead scoring, medium, high, low, what that looks like to a client, because there is a lot of less than ideal leads that are coming in. So just I'm not a ClickUp expert, so I just
Sure.
wanted to know if there was something around that there where we could gather that information, put
Yeah.
it somehow automated in ClickUp somehow, and just get better visibility, to know where we needed to kind of focus more on. I think a lot of more like Google ads, that kind of lead quality, a lot of like call tracking. So I'm just
Yeah.
onboarding in this agency. So I don't know a ton. I just would like to provide some sort of useful,
Yep.
information to them about this, if possible.
How are clients like what tool are they in where they decide, you're probably gonna tell me it's on a call, but like where are they when they decide that this is not a good lead?
Yeah, it's literally receiving that feedback from the client, whether it's in Slack or an email or even text, unfortunately. So, or on a
Yeah.
call, yeah.
I'm in
Very
I'm in for the end
unsettling.
client though. Like are they in a CRM looking at it or are they on a live call with a prospect or like and would they have a CRM in front of them?
Yeah, to some extent. So they would get a lead that goes into their CRM that,
Yep.
it's not qualified whatsoever. People
Yeah.
looking for jobs versus actually,
Yeah.
following up on an offer. Um, or a phone call, phone calls or their email into their CRM.
Yep. Well, the very easiest way, if we were doing this, like and when I say easiest, I just mean easiest for you, not necessarily for the client. We take the client, we have a list of all the leads that we're providing them. Automatically, when someone fills out a form or does whatever, that populates a new lead in here. We've shared this list with the client. We've given them access and we've given them just a direct, like, hey, comment here type of custom field. What's your feedback? And maybe one drop down. And we have a very simple view that we've created for them. And we tell them, hey, bookmark this and just keep ClickUp up. That's your feed of all the leads that are coming in. And that's where you give us feedback. And we then process that. When they change a status, they go from like, lead to MQL to SQL or not qualified or whatever your statuses are, then that could trigger off and ClickUp an automation that says, hey, like go review this or whatever. And obviously you'd have reporting and the client would have live reporting on that as well.
Does
Um,
that assume that the client has access to ClickUp
the
in their
ClickUp.
own dashboard?
Yeah, exactly. So they'd be
Okay.
in your ClickUp. The
Okay.
reality is, depending on your relationship with clients, like that would be a big step to train them to say, hey, go work out of our ClickUp. So um,
That- Let's assume that's not an option.
right. Yeah. So I think the very easiest thing for clients, at least where I've seen this have the highest adoption, is you actually build something right into their CRM. This is a little bit annoying if it's a custom one person's on Salesforce and someone's on Pipedrive and someone's on HubSpot and someone's on Zoho or whatever. But it's right there where you're taking those properties of um, client stage or even notes about it, and you're running an automation out of that tool to push that feedback into ClickUp or into wherever you want to process that. Um, but we do have some agencies who've done that type of thing. Clients leave just an open-ended note that creates a new task in the client folder on your side that says, "Hey, review this feedback about like this is the client name, or the lead, I should say, like the lead, and this is the feedback from our client about that lead." Um, Process that, do any reporting, like depending on the feedback and the analysis, you could potentially update something automatically in ClickUp. But that would be probably the most annoying for you to build. You'd have to build in some scope in your projects to do it, but would probably be the highest adoption rate from clients.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We'll do some baby steps towards that.
Yep. Makes
Thank
sense.
you, Greg.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Taylor, anything else you want to cover? Anyone else have any other questions?
I'm not seeing any other questions. Where can people learn more from you? I know you mentioned your YouTube channel, lots of tutorials, but tell us where we can find more.
Yeah. So the website has a lot of info. If anyone wants to, the two places to go, obviously you can find all types of information and results and stuff. But if you go to the ZenPilot website, want to book a call and just walk through like, hey, here's where we are now. What would come next? You can click there and book directly on that page. If anyone's got questions or wants more info on anything that we talked about here, but is like, hey, I hate 30-minute calls or whatever else, you're also welcome to email me directly, and I just put that in the chat here. But it's just gray@zenpilot.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Gray. I'm sure people will have questions as they're watching this recording, and definitely book a call with ZenPilot. There's nobody else in the industry, right, who knows ClickUp for agencies like you guys do. So whenever we have people with with ClickUp questions, we're like, just go talk to them
Yeah.
because they know their stuff.
Yep. Well, this was fun. Thank you all for jumping on. It was really fun to spend an hour with you. Taylor, thanks for organizing and
Yay.
jumping on too. This was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Gray. We'll be posting the recording soon.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.